he got AM Best to give him an A+ rating, which this is very pertinent to the story because if you have an A+ rating from AM Best, all of these insurance brokers now suddenly are going to be recommending your company to all of their clients. And then Lisa goes, I don't know, it's just so creepy. They want me to sign these blank pieces of paper. This is pertinent to the story. The doorbell rings and I happen to be in a different room and Justin happened to be near the door at the time. Now, this is also very pertinent to the story is that Justin isn't as familiar with our dogs and also he's not our dog's owner, which I'm sure I would feel the same way with other people's dogs, is that you can't really like sit. You know, the reason I stopped singing at my recital at school the other day was because I learned the song for you and you weren't there. And so I stopped singing the song. This becomes pertinent to the story later.
But so they knew who's in there.
Yes, they knew it was the Branch Davidians. They knew that there were women and children in there. And this is pertinent to the story. So when you turn 40, you go to this facility and they ask you a very pertinent question. Now Jessica decides that she's going to either go back to Indonesia. I mean, there are articles saying that she was thinking of moving to Indonesia, back home again. And this is pertinent to the story. And then a week later, she comes up to him. And now this part is very pertinent and you'll realize later, even though it doesn't seem like a big deal now, and they record you the entire time. Russ records the entire experience, right? This becomes pertinent to the story later.
Does she know?
And the crazy thing is they were filming in South Africa, okay? This gets kind of pertinent to the story in a little bit. So they're filming, this is very pertinent for stunt people because a lot of them have their own medical insurance, but they heavily rely on the insurances that these production sets take on. Yeah. And that's the reason that she wasn't allowed to wear an earpiece. That becomes pertinent to the story. Like, I don't know any 6-year-old that says pertinent to the story other than Stephanie Sue. So the reason that I'm talking about this is because this is gonna come pertinent to the story in the long run, okay? Now, the Koreans, they had hired 3 Sherpas and they're all related. I believe they were all cousins, okay? This is very pertinent to the story. Now, the hot coffee came out and they decided to park inside of the McDonald's parking lot, pertinent to the story. And now, McDonald's, this is pertinent to the story. In the manual of when you are first an employee, they said that you need to heat up the coffee to near boiling point. And this is pertinent. He was living a very isolated life. That's kind of pertinent to the story. Gail she has no access to the fortune, right? Now this is pertinent to the story. Because Barry gave it to his ex-wife to purchase some furniture. Okay? It's very pertinent to the story. And so they open the biggest gates that they have and he decides that he's going to place himself, which, by the way, this is very pertinent to the story because like he is the main OG. There's so many small details to this story that are so pertinent to the overall ending question of how did everybody let this happen? And so she just needed a lot of money for a lot of different reasons, pertinent to the story. This is the most pertinent part of the story, is that whoever is in the room with young Luis is constantly on the phone with said police officer, right? Walter, her fiance, her 48-year-old fiance, pertinent to the story. She's driving in her Nissan one day. This is pertinent to the story. They did this thing which caused, I'm sure, a lot of emotional damage. And this is very pertinent to the story, right? But I think that they're pertinent to the story. And so it would actually take him less time inside the store to get the vanilla ice cream, which is very pertinent to the story. But she thinks that they're the same cup. This is pertinent. And it's going to involve a doctor, a death, and Florida, okay? I don't know why Florida is so pertinent to the story, right? And she turns around and she sees that their beloved black Labrador is just floating, bobbing around in the river. And all of a sudden, her husband, her kind of on the heavier side, this is pertinent to the story, husband, who is not the most athletic person in the world, her beloved husband, jumps after Fluke. He was always volunteering for like children's hospitals. He loved working with kids. Now this is pertinent because he has 7 kids. I mean, he was board certified in just crazy shit. Like, we'll get into it. It'll be pertinent to the story in a little bit.